Hi, when you stream a game or do something live, it's fun to show your heart rate to other people to let them know how you feel. But can we push it further? If we use animated characters, we definitely can. We can create a certain expression based on the stress levels and in general make the character breathe faster so you can really make your fantasy gone wild. Today we'll review how to use a heart rate monitor with Adobe Character Animator and add some expression for your character without doing anything with your hands. We'll use the tile puppet from the sample set so it's easier to follow. So step number one would be the planning. We need to decide what do we want to do when our heart rate changes. In our case, we'll be using the changing in the breathing speed, we'll raise eyebrows and shrink an eye. Let's start by preparing the rigging. Open the rigging menu in Character Animator, add the breathing behavior, and tag a torso with a breathe tag. No idea why these are two separate things, this is how Character Animator works. That will handle the breathing behavior. Now navigate to the head and add the transform behavior to the left and right eye so you can scale them later. We'll handle eyebrows moving around and tilting by controlling the face behavior so you don't have to bother with that at this moment. And this is pretty much it with rigging. You're good to go and you're ready to shift to the scene mode. In the scene mode, we'll need to grab some of the controls to prepare what we need. Find the scale from the transform behavior for the eyes and bring it to the control page for the both eyes. Find the raised and lowered eye tilt inside the face behavior and bring them to the controls as well. Grab the breath per minute and max scale from the breathe behavior. Now when we have all the controls on our scene, we need to create record and replay to create the different breathing states. We will prepare 3 states today. Normal state is the default one, you can see it right now. It's just a standard breathing or not breathing at all, so no preparation required. Excited state would start when our heart is gonna pass certain threshold. As we get more excited, our characters will follow. And we will have one extreme state when our heart rate goes way up and we push our character to the limit and have a very extreme reaction out of it. So let's go ahead and actually prepare them. Normal is ready by default, so 1 out of 3 is done. For the excited one, it's a little bit more complicated. We'll need to increase the breathing up to about 50 breaths per minute and increase the eyebrow tilt so the towel looks kind of surprised. And we can also shrink and scale up the eyes or use existing behaviors that is already assigned to the towel. Just make sure that they use the same buttons at the end. Fiddle with the controllers that we add until you are happy with how things are looking and enable keyframes in order to record it later on. Now you can go to the timeline and hit the record button. As you started recording, use your trigger. I'm using a MIDI keyboard, but you can use something else to trigger all your behaviors in order for your characters to start breathing rapidly. Stop it, clean it up, remove the audio and some irrelevant controls that you happen to record, and only keep the ones that relates to your breathing behavior. Right-click it and create replay and trigger. Set your replay to stop sustain replay and assign the button to your trigger. When you assign the button, also ensure to hit a latch in the trigger behavior. Now we can press the button and our character will enter the excited mode. We can repeat the same process for the character in extreme mode, but in this case, our breathing will be even faster and you will be able to set up the different maybe triggers or emotions as you need. Now all we have left is to connect this trigger to our actual heart rate. There are a few ways to go about it. One easy way is to use Autoit to read some values and create a small script that will be able to send some buttons to the character animator. Let's review how that works. For example, I have the Polar Brutus sensor. So I just Google the GitHub repositories to connect it to the PC. Basically, find some software to create a number from your sensor. And this one runs on Bluetooth, so it's easy to go. I ran it, and as you can see, I have like a little window pop up where I can see my heart rate data live. And I want to just grab it and use it in our program. You may have a different sensor on you, but you will essentially be able to follow along as you have some windows that you can grab. Open Autoit window info and grab the target controller and hover over the area with the numbers. We will be able to use that in a control get text command of our Autoit script. You can see this window and control get text is right here. So just copy-paste as you see on the screen. We will also use Control-Send command to send the button to the character animator even if another window is currently opened. This is a very nice and neat trick to actually send the keys inside the character animator when you're working with something else. Technically, there is like one last part of the code to actually trigger things only once, because if we keep sending the button, it's just gonna keep trigger different swamp sets, but this is more of a part of an infrastructure, so you can ignore it. To set up Control-Send commands, it's also quite straightforward. At the very end of the line, you can see the buttons that I used to trigger in Character Animator. Adobe Character Animator 2021 is the name of the window that is opened. So if you're using sometime in the future and it's 2025, please fix that. And the last tricky part is opening Autoit window in 4 again, grabbing the target thingy and just hovering over the area where your character lives, and just go to the summary and copy paste as you see on the screen in order to update your controls. We need this specific part of the window to send a key press, otherwise it will not work properly. There are more reliable ways to achieve the same things. One thing that comes to mind is to just simulate the MIDI values to do all that, but this method really allows you to kind of a quick and easy hack that you can use pretty much anywhere as long as you have some window where you can grab your heart rate from. So it's gonna be really working with a wide range of sensors, and this will improve expressiveness of your character quite a bit. Me personally, I like to have as many triggers as possible without actually doing anything with a character. Oh, and at the end, I want to ask you a question. What do you say if the soup of the day is whiskey? Cheers.